Welcome back to the JNS inaugural conference here in the Waldorf, beautiful Jerusalem, in the heart of Jerusalem. I'm so pleased to bring you now my next speaker, Gerald Steinberg. Hello.
Hello, good to be here.
It's so lovely to meet you, get to know you, learn about your organization. Really glad you have it, and I'll tell everyone about it right now. You're the founder and president of NGO Monitor, and you're the professor emeritus of political science at Bar-Ilan University. I'm sure amongst other titles as well, which we'll learn about shortly.
That's enough.
That's enough for now? Okay, fine. Can you tell me all about your NGO, why you created it, what it does, and what it focuses on?
In the early 1950s, the United Nations created a category of organizations. They're called non-governmental organizations. And they are supposed to be outside of the political arena. They are supposed to be neutral. They're supposed to be experts. They are supposed to be mostly volunteers. And the United Nations said these are important to have as means of getting information and involvement of people outside the political process. There are now about 6,500 organizations recognized by the United Nations. Many of them are not at all non-governmental, and they're certainly not outside the political arena. We look at organizations like Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, which are very much at the front of propaganda against Israel, of attacking
Israel. And those,
Israel.
much of the time, are the ones listed as suggested donations on the news network site, not on purpose, but there's not all knowing. And so in the case of emergency, it says you can donate to the organization of your choice, and they're front and center every time.
So what NGO Monitor does, what I started about 25 years ago, and I began to see how important and how much damage these groups do, and it's much more now than it was back around 2000, 2001, was to monitor, write reports, analyze what these organizations actually do. Not what they say they do. We do human rights, we do wonderful things for people, but what they actually do, which is very often propaganda and hate, very much directed against Israel. Well, Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch both came out with very long, high headline reports saying Israel was guilty of genocide back about 6 months ago, actually. Now, these were completely fictitious. They were completely motivated as a form of attacking Israel, and yet people in news media frameworks, academics, all sorts of other places, politicians, quoted them as being authorities, the United Nations, of course, as being expert. This is a form of warfare against Israel. What our organization does, not only with respect to Amnesty and Human Rights Watch and the genocide lie, but we monitor about over 300 organizations.
Wow, how do you do all that? There's so many.
We have an excellent staff of people who take this very seriously and understand that these are the groups that drive the hate. When you see a campus, it's not a demonstration, it's a mob event, a mob riot.
Yes, absolutely.
And they say, Israel commits genocide, don't let Jews speak. Don't let the Zionists on our campus. They're simply cutting and pasting and copying what these organizations say and do. And well, Human Rights Watch says that this is the truth.
It gives it that, okay, it's correct.
So we counter that. We show the lies, we show the propaganda, and we also tell organizations, individuals, foundations, governments don't support these organizations. They are part of the propaganda.
And how do you do that? Say you find something. What's the best approach? What do you do?
I'm an academic, I confess, so we write reports, but we also present them to journalists, and sometimes, more often than not, we see more and more journalists take it seriously.
Yes.
We publish our material in JNS, and from there it gets quoted and picked up in very, very many other places. So we do social media. We have, on all the different accounts, we're active to make sure that our information gets out there. It's very hard. We are about 17 people, and Human Rights Watch has hundreds of people. Amnesty has even more. Oxfam, all these groups, they're huge. But I think we are making an impact. They're scared of us. They attack us as being some sort of political organization, as if they weren't political, as if they weren't being used in order to attack and defame Israel and the Jewish people. So we're in the arena fighting the good fight, and I think we're having an impact. They're losing money. They're losing access to governments because their spin is being understood, being recognized.
How does one recognize, okay, I know when I do news, right? I look at the headlines, and in the center of the articles it says X broadcast networks cannot independently verify the following information from one source to the other. How do you recognize what it is in under a minute?
We have the staff and the research to be able to attempt to independently verify, and you end up with one of the following options. Either you can show that the facts are accurate or inaccurate, or maybe there's no way of knowing.
There's no gray area there.
So if we don't know, how do they know?
That's what I always say. If somebody doesn't know, how could we know if it doesn't
They say
know?
that we've interviewed 200 people in Gaza. Well, who did you interview? How do you know they're telling you the truth? In fact, are you just making this up? And in some cases, in quite a few cases, we show...
I've seen a doctor on TV, right? He was telling over the story. Yes, that child was hurt, but we don't know. He didn't see, nobody saw.
That's right. And he doesn't know if the child was hurt, how that child was hurt.
And yes, the child was hurt, but we don't know the cause. Exactly.
That's right.
It's hearsay.
Or we remove the context. We don't talk about October 7th and the terrible things that happened that led to the war. So all of this is part of the process that we examine. Also, they make up international law. They completely make it up as a fiction.
I could be here all day talking about that.
So we show...
They're being held in prisons against the rule according to international law. Well, that's not a sentence.
War crime, all sorts of other things. War
Yes.
crimes, genocide, and they make this stuff up.
They do.
And so we show that they're making it up because we have international law experts, and we also talk to others, and we show that they can make any claims they want, but they're not experts.
No, they're not. Well, anyway, thank you for joining. We can literally speak for
Thank you
hours.
for the
I
work
do
you
feel
do.
that. Thank you so much for being here with us at JNS. Looking forward to reading more of your articles, hearing more of what you find, and we will continue our live coverage here today, ongoing throughout the evening, and of course tomorrow as well. Please do continue to follow us. We're here live in Jerusalem. Looking forward to bringing you along. See you soon.